Hi, it's Margaret, and thank you so much for joining me here on the Gardening Me. Here I am again, outside in February. What is happening? We are again having some ridiculously unseasonable highs in our area. And while that's awesome for me and I love being able to videotape outside, I'm actually a little bit worried for some of my plants because with that also comes hardly any snow cover. And with the swings in temperature, often it's snow cover that insulates those plants and gets them through the winter. So I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens in the spring, what comes up and what ends up being a casualty. As you saw from the intro, I had my trek out to William Dam Seeds a little bit late this year, but that's okay. And I came back with a bunch of seeds. Now, most of these, actually almost all of them, were on my list of stuff to buy when I went through their catalog, which is a little bit strange for me. Normally, I'm a bit of an impulse purchaser when it comes to seeds, but this time I more or less stayed on track and got what I needed. In fact, there's a few things that were on my list that I didn't get because they didn't have them in stock. So I think another trip is in order down there in another week or two. We'll see if I can rein in my impulse purchases when I go the second time. So today I'm going to go through all of the seeds that I purchased there. Now, William Dam is a Canadian seed house, and unfortunately they do not ship outside of Canada. However, I am going to be putting up all of the botanical names on the screen when I go through each one. I'm pretty confident that all of the varieties that I talk about today, you'll be able to get at a seed house in the States. These packets are actually really good with having a lot of detail on them, but I do have my computer up as well, so just in case I need to get a little bit extra information on them. So why don't we get started? Okay, so I've sorted things out, so it's sort of in order, and I kind of put like things together. And the first one that I'll talk about is alyssum, and it's Sweetie Deep Purple. I have sown a few alyssum from seeds I had in my stash, but this one looked so pretty, so I thought I would try it as well. This one is an improved compact variety with fragrant flowers, and it grows to be about 4 inches tall. Next up are a couple of snapdragons, and I do have a lot of snapdragons as well in my stash, but these looked so pretty. And the first one is called Apple Blossom. I've kind of seen these around on the internet. This one is just so beautiful with those white blooms that have that kind of pale pinky throat. It has more stems and better bloom quality than the traditional series, which is Rocket, and it's 40 inches tall. The next one I'm really excited about because I've never grown a snapdragon that has an open face, and this is what this one is, and it is called Chantilly Mix. Now, these get 30 inches to 48 inches tall. That's 4 feet tall. So I'm thinking for these, we may need to put up some stakes or something because I can kind of see them going all over the place, but we'll see what happens. Their stems just may be strong enough to handle that. I don't know. It will be interesting. Now, the next one is Dianthus, and these are gorgeous. I have quite a lot of different varieties of this type of Dianthus in the garden, and these are not the ones that have kind of like the big flower heads on them. These are relatively diminutive and wispy type of flowers. The packet describes them as soft and romantic, yet tough, and they are definitely tough because right now I went into my raised bed area and there are still green leaves on the Dianthus that I have in there. And these grow to a height of about 12 inches tall. The next one is Ageratum, and this one is called Aloha Blue. And it's a compact variety. This one only gets to be about 6 inches tall. And I absolutely love Ageratum in the garden. It provides such a great kick of color right at the front of the border. Then I have some violas, and this is called Carina Mix. I am growing some already. If you saw my winter sowing video, I have some in there. I will be winter sowing these as well. Hopefully it's not too late. There's actually a few things in my packets that I will try to throw into that winter sowing bin, and this is one of them. So in trials at the William Dam Trial Garden, this one grew really well, even in extreme drought, and it overwintered to rebloom the following spring. And actually, One of the ones that I grew last year that I winter sowed in that video, I actually went to take a quick peek to see how they were doing or whether they were still even there. I think it was the Delft blue one, and it's actually blooming. I mean, the blooms are like this big. They're not very big, but I couldn't believe it. It's blooming. I hope it survives. And I'm not exactly even sure whether violas, I think they can be perennial in ideal situations maybe. So I'm crossing my fingers on that one. And I'm excited to try this one with all those beautiful colors. So the next one is a grass, and it is a pennisetum, and the variety name is Fluffy. I saw this one at the William Dam Trial Gardens last year. It was phenomenal. And I am not exaggerating when I said that this guy stopped traffic. They kind of had it planted all along the front near the road, and it was amazing. So when I saw that, I knew I had to pick up a packet this year. Now, this grass has an arching habit and it blooms pretty early. It's a great grass for planting in groups, and it does really well as a specimen plant as well. And if you're living in a warmer zone, this one is hardy down to zone 8. And of course, what would be a seed haul without purchasing some Verbena bonariensis? And I have a couple of different varieties here. I have just the regular, this one here, just the regular species. And this is your traditional Verbena bonariensis that you see in many gardens. I've only had it in my garden for a couple of years, and so far I really haven't seen any self-seeding from it. So I'm crossing my fingers I do get some this year, but we'll see. I'm ready just in case I don't get any self-seeding in the bed. Now, the other variety is called Vanity, and this one is a much shorter variety. So this one only gets to about 2.5 feet tall. I saw this one as well at the Trial Gardens last year, and it was gorgeous. So once again, I knew what was going to be on my list for this year. The other thing is that the packet said that this variety reseeds freely. So that would be a big bonus. Also on my list, of course, is some eucalyptus. I grew some last year and was moderately successful until I got it outside, and then I kind of forgot about it and it didn't do so well. So I'm gonna hopefully take better care of it once I get it outside. But indoors, it was pretty good, which for me, it's usually the other way around. This eucalyptus is an unusual variety because it does not have the typical round eucalyptus leaves. The leaves are actually long and narrow. And as they are initially emerging, they have this beautiful reddish tinge. It's gorgeous. The leaves are slightly fuzzy and they have quite a strong lemon scent. And what they suggest at William Dam is that this is the perfect plant to put in those patio containers and kind of have it kind of splashed around your patio in order to discourage mosquitoes. Now, I'm not sure whether that works or not, but I might actually give that a try and put it in a pot and see how it does. Next is actually a packet of echinacea. I did have that one in my stash already, but I was running low on seed. It's called Prima Donna Deep Rose, and I love this one so much. It was gorgeous in their trial gardens, and so I decided to grab more seed for it. And even though it's a little late, especially for echinacea, I think, and with the weather being so mild, touch and go on that, I will probably still do a winter sowing container for this one as well. Next up is Russian sage, and this is no longer called Perovskia. Now they've changed the botanical name and it's a salvia. Salvia Yangyi, I believe it is. The variety name is Blue Steel. Now, this is a very compact Russian sage compared to the species. This one only grows to be about 32 inches tall. And it has a well-branching habit, and just like other Russian sage, it is very drought tolerant once it's established. And because of its short size, it's also a good candidate to grow in containers. Okay, so lupins, one of those plants that I haven't had success with yet, but I am going to give these ones a go this year. I did plant some or winter sow some lupins already, and I'm going to add these to the container. This variety is called Gallery Mix, and it is a beautiful combination of purples and whites and pinks. It just looks amazing. This one is supposed to be a first-year bloomer, so that should be interesting. The other interesting thing is that this one is a relatively compact variety and it only grows to about 20 inches tall. It also has up to 10 flower spikes per plant. Now that is going to be quite the show if it actually blooms in my garden. Next, I have some Agastaki Golden Jubilee. I did grow this one last year as well and managed to get a few plants out into the garden. We'll see how they did over the winter. This is one of those plants that I feel plays well with so many other plants that I knew I wanted to get more in the garden, so I decided to buy more seed. Now, Golden Jubilee, the reason why it's called that is because it has beautiful chartreuse foliage, especially in the spring when it first comes out. And then the flower spikes are a beautiful blue lavender color. And it's not a huge plant. It only gets to be about 20 inches tall, which means that it's perfect for tucking in almost anywhere. So one plant that I'm growing for the first time this year that I saw again in the trial gardens, those trial gardens, I have to tell you, if you have not gone to the William Dam Trial Gardens and you're somewhere in Southern Ontario, please go to them, especially around the end of the summer. It is amazing and you will come back really, really inspired. And that is what inspired me to pick up this one. And this is Cup and Saucer Vine. They planted this one together with, I believe it was a hyacinth bean. And in what they called the purple garden. They had one garden where the theme was purple. And the Cup and Saucer Vine completely took over the hyacinth bean. You can barely tell it was there. All those gorgeous blooms, they were amazing. Now I just have to figure out where I'm going to put this one and how I'm going to trellis it. I may do a bit of DIY on that. I don't know. We'll see. Next is a perennial that I do have in my garden. I have, I think, 3 different varieties in my garden. I've never grown it from seed. All the plants I do have in my garden, I purchased as plants. I'm not sure what it is about Gaura, but I just absolutely love it. It has all these wiry stems and then these clouds of almost butterfly-ish like flowers on top. It is absolutely beautiful. The variety that I picked up is called Sparkle White. So I'm not even sure whether these guys need stratification to get going or not. That's something I actually still have to research. And if they do, I'll probably add them to my winter sowing containers. And if they don't, I'll just start them inside. The packet indicates that this one gets to be about 24 inches tall. And I'm assuming that those are the actual flowers. That usually Gaura has kind of a mound of foliage near the bottom and then the flowers kind of rise up from that. And I'm assuming that that height refers to how tall the flowers are. I have 4 more here to show you, and none of these I have grown from seed before. And all of them are ones that I normally purchase as annuals for my shady front entrance. I don't know if you've seen, I've done a video or 2 about the entrance to our house. It faces north, it's practically all shade, and I do a ton of pots in that area. And 99% of the pots are using bedding plants that I purchase at the store. And I thought this year it would be fun to try to grow some of those bedding plants from seed. Actually, one of these is not for that. One of these is a full sun one. But the other 3 are for that front entrance, which gets basically full shade on most of it, but there are spots that get part sun. So the first 2 things I'm going to try growing this year from seed is lobelia. And this is the annual lobelia that you normally find at the garden center in those cell packs. The first variety is Riviera Marine Blue, and this one I got because that blue is just so electric, and blue goes with everything. So no matter what color scheme I decide to use in those front entrance pots in the front, this will go with it. Now, this is a compact variety. It has an improved heat tolerance, which is awesome because we can get very hot summers, and it gets to be only about 6 inches tall. Now, the next one I have is called Regatta Mix, and this is a mix of different colors, but it looks like it's primarily blues with a tiny bit of white and pink mixed in there. And this one is a trailing variety. Now, they don't say how long those stems get, but I'm assuming probably in the neighborhood of 12 inches or so. Now, compared to other trailing varieties, they say that this one is more floriferous, it's a compact variety, and it has higher heat tolerance than other types. And the last one that I'm going to try to grow is a Rex begonia. I love Rex begonias. I usually have quite a few different varieties on our front steps, and every year I just kind of fall in love with them more and more. This one is called Griffin, and it is a large Rex begonia. So I'm hoping I can get at least one of these to grow, and I will be putting it in kind of a really big, I think it's 18 by 18, maybe 24 by 24 inch pot that I have in our front entrance. That's basically underneath our porch roof, so it's in complete shade. The Rex begonias do really well in that pot. This one gets to be about 60 inches tall, and it says that if you have hot, humid weather, that the size can actually get up to 30 inches tall. So we'll see how I do with that one. I have tried growing fibrous begonias from seed in the past and haven't had much luck. I'm not sure how difficult these are in comparison to that, but I'm willing to give it a go. And the very last one I have to show you is this, and this is New Look, and it is a Dusty Miller. This is not one of those fern leaf type Dusty Millers. This has a nice big leaf on it. This one is 12 inches tall, which means that it's going to be perfect for my window box. The other thing as well is that Dusty Miller just as a whole is quite drought tolerant, which again makes it perfect for containers and window boxes. So that about covers it for my haul at William Dam. As I said, I'll probably be going back there because they were out of stock on a few things that I wanted to get. And I'm thinking in the next week or two I'll be heading back. I was supposed to go on a little bit of what I call a seed diet, where I don't really buy many seeds because I had so many already in my stash. But I don't know, you start looking at the catalogs and then online, and then, you know, there are too many enticing things, too many new things to try. It's hard to resist. So anyhow, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and we will see you next time. Bye.